itself. So from here we're going to go on to all of the things that now society is able to do, and on to a speaker that's going to talk about the individuals who are going to start taking care of itself.
Thank you. Andy Hayley, please. Thank you very much indeed. He's limping because 20 years after he should have given up rugby, he hasn't, which is fairly similar to me. Andy's going to talk about whatever happens in the internet. He'll then tell you about something else.
That means Anthony's forgotten. Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity. I landed in Beijing at 9:30 yesterday morning. I've had the most surreal, the most wonderful. I'm sort of oscillating wildly between being as excited as a small child because I'm somewhere new and being just completely overwhelmed by the experience. What I'm going to try and do is put the crutch down, because obviously if I stand here with a crutch, I'm going to sort of upstage the baby, then I'll upstage the dog, and I can't be having that. And oh, look at that throne. I'm going to try and stand, Anthony. Okay, so as Anthony said, my name's Andy Hayley. By teaching, I'm a scientist. By profession, I've been in media and communications for the last 17 years. I'm a logical thinker, most days. I am the husband to a wonderful woman who runs my middle-sized family. I myself run a middle-sized company, and I am the father to 2 children who I strive to maintain a connection with, and who I hope to maintain a connection with all the way through their lives. And even though the job that I do means that I surround myself with digital media all the time, every day, I fundamentally believe that human connectivity will eat data and technology every time. Every time. Let's have a look at online dating. We don't have to do it together. In my office, online dating is really, really popular, especially among the single ladies under the age of 30. Now, for anybody who's not yet been to London, almost 33% of women under the age of 30 are single at any one time. And we have lots and lots of different providers of online dating services, and these providers make bigger and bigger claims about being able to match your individual personality type, your individual desires, your individual behaviours with your dream partner. I also have in the office that I work with an extremely pretty, highly educated, degree-qualified writer who is culturally aware, who is constantly bringing out new ideas for my business, but is single and has been looking for love for many years. And she's been using a particular online dating service when all of a sudden she found herself to have found what she thought was the perfect match. And so she makes a date and goes to a certain bar in London waiting for a certain man to come and find her. And after waiting for half an hour, she thinks that certain man isn't coming. But then just as she's getting ready to go, just as she's getting ready to leave, in limps a one-legged man who happened to be her date. Now, it's not that she's got anything against one-legged men, it's just she prefers bipeds herself. And unfortunately, the date didn't quite go to plan. Now, what this story shows is that no amount of data, no amount of online content, no amount of algorithms behind everything that she said she did, and he said he did, was going to create a match for those 2 people. It was never going to happen. And I think that the correlation of what we see in online analytics tells us an awful lot about what a person may do, what a person does, their behaviours. But it tells us very little about why those things happen. It tells us very little about the motivations behind why they happen. It tells us very little about what truly connects and what truly influences us as human beings. The next example I use is my own personal example. I wasn't that one-legged man, by the way, just for the record, and the camera and my wife. I'm a really big fan of Twitter. I was learning today that you don't have Twitter in China, and I'm struggling to get to the local pronunciation, but I'm going to go with Weibo. I hope that's correct. And I'm also really struggling with what you mean or what you say by retweet, but I'm going to go with Huanfa. Can we go with that? Are we okay with that? So I send at least one tweet a day. I have followers in the hundreds, of which I probably know about half of the people that follow me. And I have a following also in the hundreds. Probably I know about a third of those people that I'm following. Okay? I'm catching up with Justin Bieber. I'm just behind him. And I'm hoping to overtake him sometime in the year 2050. We also have online analytics tools in the UK. And when I look at my online analytics and I look at myself, it says I'm a middleweight influencer. And that makes me feel... Well, it makes me feel really sad inside, because obviously I'd like to be like a really high-profile influencer. But when I look at that influencing tool, and I look at what it does, it measures what I do, and it measures what people do with the things that I do in social media. But it doesn't measure, and it doesn't get close to the connection that we're making right now. It doesn't get close to shaking hands with somebody. It doesn't get close to sharing a joke with somebody. It doesn't get close to any of that connection that we may make through the discourse that we'll have, through laughter, through debate, through joking, through whatever it may be. And so, when I have a look at what my online profile says, it says to me that there is a paradox. There is a complete contradiction between the principles of social engagement, which totally mirror the engagement that we have in interpersonal connection. It's all about the people. And it's not about using people, it's about connecting with people. It's all about a constant stream of conversation, a conversation when we want to have it, not just a conversation when I want to have it with you. I know that's not quite working now, but that's because I've got the mic. It's about having relationships that are about the long term, not just the short term. We've all had to weigh up the pros and cons of a long and loving relationship versus a one-night stand, as did that poor man with one leg as he came into the bar. It's about the fact that we want to be authentic in our engagement. We want to be genuine in our engagement and not leave people feeling that they've been manipulated or persuaded. It's about the fact that we will always strive for more. I'm very surprised that the last speaker didn't use the term always better. Life is always better, never mind social media being always better. And then, when you contrast that with the way in which social media is measured, you cannot measure the psychosocial nuances based around those principles. I can tell you how many followers I've got. I can tell you how many of those followers retweeted my tweets. I can tell you how many high-influence people who are judged to have high influence on social analytical tools retweeted my tweets. I can tell you which countries they went to. I can tell you the number of people that they went to. But I have absolutely no idea of the connection I actually made. If you want us to look at this cynically, somebody could retweet my tweet because they think I am a total and utter moron. Not because they looked at what I saw and were inspired. I'd love them to be inspired. I would love them to think, that's a really interesting thought. If that dog gets any closer, he really will upstage me. So, I'd love them to be inspired. I would love them to have had an inspirational thought from what I said. I would love somebody to say, hey, look what this guy thinks. But I don't for 1 minute think that I have truly connected with them or that I've truly bonded with them as a person. And I want to spend the last couple of minutes of my talk just going back to my own personal experience. And I urge you, while I'm waffling on, and I know that's a British phrase, which I don't yet have a Mandarin translation for, but it basically means standing up here talking nonsense. But while I'm standing up here talking nonsense, I'd ask you to do the same and reflect upon those people who have truly actually had a major influence on you, truly actually made a real connection with you. My story is about a man who taught me mathematics as a child. His name was Roger Porquest, but I always had to call him Sir. We're like that in England. And on a number of occasions, I would go up to him and say, "Sir, sir," and I really did have that whiny voice too. "Sir, I can't do this." And my shoulders would slump, and I'd put on my little sad face. It didn't work then, it doesn't work now. And what he would say is, "Andy, there is no such word as can't. All there is, I don't yet know how." And that was a massive lesson. And then as I started to think into this, I looked at him, and for me, mathematics is an alien subject. I was the worst scientist the university that I went to ever had. They were glad to get rid of me. And I realised that actually what he was able to do was to make really complex concepts really, really very simple. And the last thing he did is that even as my teacher, he invited me into his house because I was that bad at mathematics. And he would teach me on a Saturday afternoon. He let me understand, he let me see his family. And in seeing that and experiencing that with him, I started to understand that actually science and medicine, the world in which I live, are as much about humanity as they are about the data and the facts. And I truly believe that these three things that he taught me, I can't be upstaged by a bee, these three things that he taught me have really, really influenced many of the major decisions that I've made. They've influenced me in my decision to ask my wife to marry me. They absolutely influenced me in the manner in which I bring up my children. And they've influenced me in many of the decisions that I make on a daily basis in the company that I am lucky enough to run. And so, at the end of this speech, you may follow me on Twitter, at Andy_Hayley. I look forward to your SMSs. I look forward to your emails. I look forward to having a look at all those things you clicked really rapidly on Facebook to say like if you have Facebook. I don't know the Chinese equivalent of Facebook. Can we do that after? Good. Okay. So we can do all of those things. But I tell you one thing in all earnesty. And that is, I'm going to far more look forward to sharing that walk with you up to the wall, to hearing what you thought about today, to listening to your life stories, to swapping laughter, jokes, agreement and debate with you all, because that is what I believe fundamentally makes for human connectivity. What we see around us in the software platforms that allow us to engage as humans, and they are brilliant, but they should only be used as tools. They will change and develop. They will grow and there'll be new ones. But I fundamentally believe that as human beings, our fundamental human need for connectivity doesn't change. Thank you very much.